आने वाली है, स्पष्टता में जो भी कैग रिपोर्ट में आएगा वो सभी के सामने रहेगा।
In recent developments, Canada has taken steps to curb migration, which may likely have an adverse impact on a vast number of foreign students, including those from India. The move will also negatively impact those who apply for work and resident permits in the country. The new rules have come into effect from the beginning of February and give unmitigated powers to Canadian border officials to alter the visa status of students, workers and migrants at any time they deem such action necessary. Border personnel are now vested with the power to reject temporary resident documents such as temporary resident visas as well. This also includes work permits and student visas, although some guidelines will have to be met for rejection of the same. Should a migrant get rejected, they will be stopped at the entry port and sent back home to their home country. In case a permit is cancelled while the person is already residing in Canada, they will be served a notice to leave the country by a specified date. The new order has plunged international students and workers in Canada into uncertainty, with Indians forming the largest group of both categories. Aditya Vadhavan is joining us for more details on this story. Aditya, what bearing will these new rules by Canada have on international students and job seekers?
Well, Uday, if you see, there are a large number of Indian students, go to Canada every year for pursuing their, higher education. And, many there is a large presence of Indian diaspora in Canada, who's working on work permits, who might face problem now because, the tightening of the immigration rules and the visa rules for the foreign students, like it will be a Herculean task for now. For Indian students, who are planning to study abroad, who are planning to choose Canada as a study abroad destination. Now it needs to be seen how will these candidates will they pursue going to Canada or not? Because as you rightly mentioned out that the temporary residence will not be permitted, and the tightening of the border rules will take into effect. Already in the past we have seen that Indo-Canadian ties are at an all-time lows. We saw that the MEA sometime back had expelled the Canadian diplomat posted here in New Delhi in Canadian embassy. So now it needs to be seen from here on how this thing goes in the future, because the strain the Indo-Canadian ties are already strained at the moment. And like if you see, the US is also now throwing all the illegal immigrants from its country, and Canada is following the same. There is a resurgence of a sort of a rightism in United States of America and across Europe. Yes, there.
All right. Colonel J.S. Sodhi, International Affairs expert, in fact, is also joining us now on the broadcast. Colonel Sodhi, what has led Canada to alter their rules?
Jai Hind, Uday. It's my honor to be on your esteemed channel. Canada, by imposing such strict immigration curbs and visa curbs, is doing more damage to itself than probably it has imagined. Two main areas where Canada will get adversely affected is structurally and economically. Before I come to these reasons, coming to your question as to what has made Canada do it, it is because Canada has realized that its soil is being used by certain people who are acting against the interests of Canada and the other countries also. Coming to my previous point that I made, actually Canada will get affected because in Canada becoming a developed nation, the immigrants have played a pivotal role. And economically, because Canada earns a lot of foreign revenue from the international students who come there. In fact, alone from Indian students, Canada earns upwards of $5 billion American dollars every year. So Canada, by imposing such strict immigration regime, will do such damage to itself that it will take years for it to recover from.
All right. In fact, Colonel Sodhi, we leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining us with your perspective on that story. Also, thanks to Aditya, who joined us earlier. Moving on now to more news coming in. Former Republican President